Hello, stage 3. Today we're looking at lesson 4.11. So please open your pages to that lesson. You also might have these notes. So if you are 6K, it will be marked as Monday 11th of May. But if you are in a different year 6, your date will be different. But the notes will look similar to these notes. Now you also might want to have a look that further down in the pack I've included this little picture of how to convert between units of mass, and it's just a reminder. So when, for example, we are converting from kilograms to grams, we'll multiply by 1000. When we are converting from milligrams to grams, we're dividing by 1000. But it's just a good visual reminder if we forget, but we really shouldn't. So these are the notes. They're very important. You can pause the video at any time. You can also read the notes before the lesson, but let's have a look at the lesson itself. So today's lesson is working with thousandths of a kilogram. When we are talking about thousandths of a kilogram, we are talking about grams, because remember 1 kilogram is equal to 1000 grams. So the whole lesson will be converting probably between kilograms and grams, and also remembering the place value of fractions, how the place value operates. That remember, everything that is to the right of the decimal points of the decimal point in a fraction will have a slightly different name of a place value that in normal numbers. So just draw this very quickly as a reminder. So I'll just use the space. So for example, if this is a decimal point, so here we'll have our tenths, and then hundredths, and then thousands. So when the title is saying that we're going to be working with thousandths of a kilogram, it means we'll be working with the decimals with that will have 3 decimal places to the right of the decimal point. So these are tenths, hundredths, and thousands. So basically we'll have 3 digits, 3 numeral to the right of the decimal points, and that's what we're going to be calling it. We're going to be working with the thousandths of a kilogram. It also is a good reminder that we'll be working with grams as well, as we established earlier. So to be successful in today's lesson, we just need to remind ourselves again that 1 kilogram is 1000 grams. 1000 will have 3 zeros. And another important revision we need to remember is our place value of decimals. Tens, hundreds, tenths, hundreds, thousands. So let's have a look at our step in. Which units of mass are used for food items? What are the mass of this meat pack? And where would you show the mass on the number line? Now remember, mass and weight are interchangeable, even though they have slightly different meanings. But for the sake of today's lesson, when we see the word mass, it means we're talking about weight. So barbecue chops is going to cost us so the weight of the barbecue chops, we've been working with the money lately, so just keep thinking that 0.279 kilograms. Okay, so mostly, if we were to think about it, the food that we buy from the shop, unless we buy it in bulk, is measured in grams. So when we are asked what is the mass of the meat pack, we can say it's 0.279 of kilogram, or if we know our place value and conversion very well, we can confidently say that's actually 279 grams. All right, now this part here is very important, and I am going to talk all of us through it before we go to do the rest of the lesson, because to establish this part here will help us to do the rest of the lesson quite confidently. So this section is very important. We are going to use the numbers or numerals to record the weight in grams and then relate these grams to fractions. Okay, so first of all, let's have a look at this number line. We've got 0 kilograms here and 1 kilograms there. And because we're going to use the parts of this number line to record the weight, we're going to treat this fraction line as this number line as a fraction line, because the question is, where would you show the mass on this number line? Well, let's break it up step by step. Firstly, let's divide this fraction line, we're going to treat it as a fraction line, into fractions starting, let's say we know that this is going to be a half. Yep. So we're going to write 1/2. That means 1/2 of a kilogram. So then we can really say that somewhere here is going to be 1/4. That's 1/4 of a kilogram, because remember, 1 kilogram is our whole number. And somewhere here, as precisely as we can say this is going to be 3/4 of a kilogram. Okay, great. But we also know the relationship between fractions and kilograms, and therefore we can add, because we know that from 0 kilograms to 1 kilogram, if we were to think about this number line in grams, we'd say that from here to there is going to be 1,000 grams. So therefore, when we are talking about 1/2 of a kilogram, which is 1/2 of 1,000, we know this is going to be the same as 500 grams. Now we have established that, we can say that 1/4 of a kilogram also means 250 grams. Why? Well, because the 1/4 of 1,000 is 250. And 3/4 is going to be 750 grams. Okay. So now we have written these values on this number line. We can have a look and decide where is this mass or weight is going to go. Now remember, just let's do this exercise just for the sake of it. Remember, if we have something, a 0.279 kilograms. Now remember, to convert from kilograms to grams, we'll need to multiply kilogram number by 1,000. So to convert that to 1,000, to convert it to grams, we need to multiply it by 1,000. How do we do that? Let's have a little practice and refresher, because that is revising how to do multiplication with decimals. We know that 1,000 has got 3 zeros, so we basically need to start at the decimal point and we need to move 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3, and that's how we're going to arrive at 279 grams. Okay, so that's how we establish that 0.279 kilos is the same as 279 grams. And now we can easily locate that weight or mass on the number line, because we already know where 500 grams are, we already know where 250 grams are, so therefore we can say that 279 grams will go somewhere there, okay? And then the question is the mass closer to 1/2 or to 1/4 of a kilogram? How do you know? Well, we can see that the mass of barbecue the weight of barbecue chops is going to be closer to 1/4 than than half a kilogram. But then it says, how do you know? Well, because we can see that. Plus, we know that 279 is probably going to be closer to 300 grams rather than to 500 grams. And therefore we can look at, put it there. The next question is the mass closer to 200 grams or 300 grams? Well, that's easy as well. 279. So if we were to think of a number line between 200, let me just write it, 200. If we just had a number line from 200 to 300, we would know that somewhere in the middle would be 250. And because 279 is going to be past 250, so somewhere here, we know that the weight 279 grams will be closer to 300 grams. How did you work it out? That's how we did work it out. By the way, I'd encourage you, whenever you have some problems you don't know how to solve, to draw the pictures, because it's a really great strategy for solving any problems. It reminds you of things, and you're also not going to miss important things. All right, the next question is, where would you show 0.684 grams on the number line, and how did you decide? Okay, remember, this is kilograms. So if we were to convert it into grams, it's going to be 684 grams. And because we've done our little work here earlier, we can say that 500 is here, 750 is here, so 684, we'll say, might go somewhere there. We're not precise, we're just saying that it's going to be closer to 750 rather than to 500. Is the mass closer to 1/2 or 3/4 of a kilogram? How do you know? Well, I think it's going to be way closer to 3/4 of a kilogram, because 684 is closer to 750 rather to 500. So, and therefore it's going to be closer to 3/4 rather than to 1/2 a kilo. So look at the two masses on the number line. How far away is the total mass from 1 kilogram? How did you work it? I assume they are talking about these two values. So, oops, I was going to change it to green. These two values, oops, and this one. So let's have a look at this. So we've got 684 grams and 279 grams. Okay, let's get our estimation skills out and have a look how close to 1 kilogram it's going to be. Say we're going to round up around to 78 to 280 grams, just for the sake of it. And then we are going to say that 684 is going to be, say, 685, and the total, just looking at it, I'm not going to calculate it exactly, the total is going to be about, looks like 960 something. So I would say it's about 40 grams away from 1 kilogram. That's my estimation skills. So let's have a look at our step up. Use these seafood packs to complete questions 1 to 4 on page 100. Looks like we'll need these as a reference, and all the working out is going to happen here. So we might have to go backwards and forwards. Look at the seafood packs at the bottom of page 100. Which pack is the heaviest? Now, heaviest is obviously the one that weighs the most. Now, the first thing we need to do is to establish are they all in kilograms or grams? Do we need to convert them to make sure they are in the same value bracket so we can actually compare? So it looks like all the masses are recorded in kilograms. So therefore, we straight away, number one, we're going to look for the whole numbers, because if we've got one whole number here, that means it will be already kilogram and something compared to this is just under the kilogram. So let's underline these values. So we've got this one with a kilogram and this one with a kilogram. So these one are going to be the two heaviest. So let's have a look which one out of those two is going to be the heaviest one. Well, this one is 1,130 grams. I've just converted it into grams, and this is 1,084 grams, or if we're talking about kilograms, 1.084 and 1.130. So we actually can see that this is going to be the heavier mass. So sand crabs are going to be the heaviest. So which pack is the heaviest? We're just going to write I hope you'll remember that. 1.13 kilograms. Very important to indicate the values at the end of your numerals, just so we know what we're dealing with, grams or kilograms. The next question is, which pack is the lightest? You can pause this video and you can use the same process. We already know that we can't use these ones. We need to use the ones that have got 0 in the whole number place, and then find out which one is going to be the smallest. You are welcome to convert it all to grams, but you don't really need to. Okay, so one giveaway is always, so if we are dealing with just zeros, which are all these numbers, what you need to do, you need to look at this at the first place value straight after the decimal point, and this number will be a decisive number in what is going to be the lightest and the heaviest. So 7, 0, 5, 1, 1, 3. Well, you already know that this and even this are out, and then you've got 1 and 1 in here, and this one's got a 0, so that's going to be the lightest one. If you had two numbers with a 0 here, you would have to look at this number, and the smaller number would win. And if you had two zeros in here, you'd have to look at the last number. So this place value comes up all the time. Sorry, can't move. Sorry, I couldn't move it, so I had to pause it. Let's have a look at question 2. Which pack has a mass closest to these? 1/4 kilogram, 1/2 kilogram, 1 kilogram. What I would do here, I would simply write those values to remind me. So I would remind myself that 1/4 kilogram is the same as 250 grams. 1/2 kilogram is the same as 500 grams. Because we are doing conversion all the time, and 1 kilogram, I know it's about 1,000 grams. And then I will go back to my picture and I'll have a look, well, which one is the closest one to 250 grams? You can convert all these ones to grams first. Like, we know that this is going to be 586 grams. This is going to be 732 grams, and so forth. This one's going to be 1084, and so forth. So when you start looking, once you've converted all to grams, you will be able to see which one is going to be the closest to 1/2 kilogram. And out of this and this and this and this one looks the closest one to being 1/2 kilogram. Sorry, we're dealing with 1/4. Okay, well, we dealt with a 1/2 kilogram first. So dory fillets are going to be the closest to 500 grams or half a kilogram. And then quarter of a kilogram, you'll have to look at them again. So you obviously can't do this, can't do that, and maybe you can have a look at this one. So 342 grams, 183. So I would say prawns would be the closest one to a quarter of a kilogram. Okay, so and 1 kilogram, you just have to decide that as well. Look at the values. Is it 1,130 kilograms or 1.084 kilograms? I think tuna steaks would be closest to the kilogram rather than sand crabs. Okay, so which packs of seafood have a mass is less than 500 grams? So that's easy. Anything that is less than 534 or 500 grams you can record. There would be mussels, there would be squid tubes, there would be prawns, and that's it. Okay. If I'm going a bit too fast, just pause it and then write the values. All right, and question 4, which 2 packs together have a mass closest to these? 500 grams, kilogram, and 2 kilograms. Remember, you might have to convert a few of them back to grams to find these values here. But I think you should be able to do that by yourself. All right, I keep moving the screen. For example, let's do 500 grams together, closest to this. So let's have a look at this one. So I think I might choose, say, prawns and squid tubes. Will it be closest? By the way, it doesn't have to be under 500. It needs to be closer to 500. So we're going to be working with these 3 values to find out the closest one of 500 grams. Now remember, it doesn't have to be under 500 grams. It can be over, but the closest, either or. So if I were to add prawns and squid tubes, it will be something over 500. But I do know that if I add prawns and mussels, it's going to be also something over 500, but a little bit less. So these 2 added together will be closer to 500 rather than these 2 values. I also can add squid tubes and mussels, and it will be something over 300. And will be maybe closer to 400. But I would say prawns and mussels will give us a closer weight to 500 grams. And then you can do the same with 1 kilogram, remembering it's 1,000 grams, and 2 kilograms is the same as 2,000 grams. Imagine, let's have a look at step ahead. Imagine 3 people equally shared these seafood packs. We've got, and the questions are, how many kilograms of fish will there be in each share? And what is the total amount each person will have to pay? Okay, so we're dealing, imagine 3 people equally share these seafood packs. So the key word here is 3. The key word here is 3 and equally and share, which means we'll have to divide each value by 3. So if we want to know, well, first of all, it looks like we have to add the values together, which that's going to be quite a big task for us today. So how many kilograms of fish will be in each share? So first, what you need to do, see if I've got enough room, you have to add all these values together. So you have to add 0.750 plus 0. Now remember, good practice again, we're going to line up our decimals. 825, and then you have to add as well 0.675. The step ahead is quite hefty today, so we're going to add these values together to get the total, and then we'll have to divide the total by 3 to get how many kilograms of fish will be in each share. It's going to be a good practice for us. So let's start. We always start from here. So we've got 0 plus 5 is 5, and 5, I might just have to move it a bit, and 5, I might change the color as well, and 5 plus 5 is 10, so 0 goes there, 1 goes there, and then we're going to add it again. 1 plus 5 is 6, 6 plus 2 is 8, and 8 plus 7 is 15, so 5 goes there, 1 goes there. And then we are going to have 1 plus 7 is 8, 8 plus 8 is 16, and 16 plus 6 is going to be 22. So we are going to put 2 here, going to bring our decimal point, and the 2 goes on the top. So it's going to be 2 kilograms and 250 grams. And now we have to divide that number by into 3 equal parts. Now it's important to remember that we've added everything in kilograms, so this is 2.250 kilograms. So what I'm going to do to divide it into 3 equal parts, I'm going to convert the whole amount into grams. Remember, I have to multiply this value by 1000, which is basically shifting the decimal point 3 spaces to the right. 1, 2, 3. So, in other words, I'm going to have 2,250, and I will want it divided by 3. And this is another excellent time for us to revise how to do division. So we're going to draw our division and put 3 in here. So let's go. So we can't fit 3 into 2, so we're going to go straight to the next number. How many 3's can go into 22 without going over 22, but still being close to 22? Well, I think, because I know my timetables, I think 7 is going to be a good number. So let's see. 3 times 7 is 21. I'm going to write it underneath the 22, and then I'm going to perform subtraction. I'm going to say 2 take away 1 is 1. I can't fit 3 into 1, so I'm going to bring the 5 down here. Right, and then I'm going to see how many 3's can I fit into 15. Well, because I know my timetables, this time it's easy. It's going to be 5. And we also have got the 0 just there. We're just going to bring it here. And we're just going to actually write it here. So, in other words, how many kilograms of fish? So this is in grams, but they're asking us how many kilograms of fish will there be in each share. We know, let me change so let's now convert 7, oops, that's not a very good color. Is it better? So 750 grams. Yes, we need to convert it back to kilograms. Now, how do we do that? We are pretending there's a decimal point in there, and now we just have to shift it backwards because we're dividing by 1000. So we go 1, 2, 3. Our decimal point is going to be there, and it's going to be 0.750 grams, kilograms, or you actually don't have to write the 0, it will be the same. So now you'll have to try and do the same with the money, and I am sure you will be able to do it very well. Take your time, slow down, pause, rewind, read the notes, make sure you understand. So let's have a look at our lesson in revision. So we just need to remember that conversion from kilogram to grams. We need to remember our place values and understand them, try to understand them more and more, because they're just always going to play a very important part in our maths lessons. And good luck with the step ahead.